At this time, we would like to open the room up for questions from the judges. Please make sure you use the microphone as you speak into it so that everybody can hear. So anybody can ask questions at this time.
First and foremost, congratulations. I have a couple of questions, actually. In your cost calculations, you say $1,300, but that doesn't cost the cover of the structure itself. You have not calculated that. That's very, very important, especially because you have to design something that is hurricane-proof. And also, you're talking about public transportation, but your project is geared only for tourists. Okay. Now, as far as perhaps there should be something that be more oriented towards the general public. They don't have that benefit. I wanted to ask you, when you calculate 600 lumens, do you think that that would be enough to power a station? And what type of lamps will you use? Because it seems if you use 3 lamps, that may not be LEDs.
Yeah, these are would be the LED lamps, which can provide based on the available solar power bus system in the U.S. And also we can calculate it in a software for calculating how much luminance we need for the area for a usual bus stops. And that's why we came up to the 60 watt, and we can cover with the 320 watt LED, which can there is less power, but they can provide a lot of the lights and
Yeah. I was talking more about the 600 lumens. You want to also power some advertising panels, whether for political reasons or whatever. I don't think it's going to be very much commercial, but it's going to be some political reasons there. But it's still 600 lumens. Do you think that's enough? Did you do the calculation?
I think we got that value from the available implemented project, and tested. That's why. But there is a way to calculate for there's a software. Easy software we can calculate for any specific area, because we need to know the area, specific bus stops, area on that, and then maybe some of the bus stops nearby of that there are a lot of lights from the others, hotels and other things, and then there's no needs to have. But that one is designed based on that nothing nearby of the solar bus stops, and I think the 60 watt with 3 lamps would definitely provide the enough light for bus stops.
Again, it's very innovating what you're proposing. Looking at it, I'm pretty sure that going from your study to implementation, there's going to be some steps that will be required. The question I have, I see, and I'm looking at it, and my background is electrical, is that you could possibly look at, do you really need an inverter for the load that you're proposing, lights and so on? So there could be some opportunities that you could make that 1,300 be a little bit lower. Did you look at the route that you were doing for the shelter that you were proposing, that it fit the need of that route with the tourist projections and so on?
Let me explain the power side, and then you can. Yeah. Okay, actually, for that design, for that cost, we did not consider the inverter because we're just proposing the lights. But our design of the panels and the battery would be possible to cover all facilities. We can cover speakers, everything. But if we want to add the sockets, somebody wants to charge the mobiles, the laptops, we need to add the inverters to bring it to the AC, and then it's going to be usable for the people to charge the stuff, and it is the additional cost for that. But the thing we just thinking that the first important thing is the light, bringing the greater safety for that, and then also the good thing from our design is the battery and the panel would be enough for adding anything, okay? Because the battery that we selected is 500 amp per hours, which means if you had the sun with 5 hours a day, it's gonna take for 4 days uninterrupted powers, and that would be good. And then you can add it. If you add, maybe it's going to take 2 days, or 1 day based on the equipment. And there's no need to change the battery. We just need to take care of adding the additional thing. That's why we came up with that price. Otherwise, if we want to, we were able to also find, the better price for that, but we just find it to have, a frame, a very general cost, and then the additional option can be selected by the people as we propose a survey, because we don't want to, in that specific area, maybe a lot of teenagers like to have a Wi-Fi. Okay, Wi-Fi is going to add. Or other area, the light is more important. Why should they spend the money for every station can have a different, feature and facility based on, the needed from the people, which we can get the data from a survey, and we're proposing the planning activity. And for transportation side?
I would briefly like to address and go into your question. The reason why we selected the bus tour is we're thinking of proposing this to an investor. An investor wants to make sure that this is not only feasible, but also profitable. Only by generating revenue, not only will we be able to move on to public transportation so that others can actually enjoy. The main goal, obviously, is to take it into the actual public transportation system. But if you don't have the revenue, and if you don't show an investor a feasible and profitable idea, it's not going to go anywhere. Off to your question. On the routes, the T1, it's very special because it has intersections. So yes, at the Plaza de la Revolución, it's a very open space. Okay, it's completely open. There's going to be no issues in terms of sunlight and charging. However, at Parque Central, we have some trees, we have some buildings, the theater is right in front, but it's such a centric location. The Capitol is right there. It's something that you would want to have there. It's going to attract more. You're going to make more money. You're going to get it back. So that was really the whole thought process behind the selection of the bus stops.
Good, thank you.
Good morning and congratulations. My alma mater. Thank you. And it's transportation. So I have a question for you. You answered Dr. Golab's question before. Why did other cities, other DOTs around the state, why do they pursue getting money in grants for upgrading these shelters? In your research, did you reach a conclusion on that?
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. Definitely. In the United States, there are some states that they are working on it. As we mentioned some of the names, Washington, D.C., and California. Definitely California, Caltech is really advancing these issues. Not only bus stops and public transportation, but also other agents, like as we showed, FIU is going to use these renewable energies. And they are working more and more on this. But it takes time to have some literature review to make it on the real world. And they are doing it as much as they can, not only just for the sake of the light, but also for the sake of the electricity, Wi-Fi, and everything else. We just wanted to show that this is a thing that's getting more and more popular in the United States. So definitely the next phase, if you want to have a better Cuba, that every single Cuban really deserves it, we need to go for these advanced technologies.
The reason I asked the question, and this is more of constructive, because I think that the theory, the idea is sound. And it's something that's happening all over the world, actually. When you put together your presentation, you got 15 minutes to tell us why you did it. You establish a purpose, you establish a need, you establish different ideas to meet that purpose and need, and then you conclude it. And in your presentation, there was questions, there was obvious things that were left out. In your written, you got to it, but not all the way there. So from a constructive standpoint, state it multiple times. It's all in your presentation. I kept circling it. It was just in different parts of it. But congratulations. I think you wanted to.
I think that the whole idea behind renewable energy, other than having a positive impact on the environment, it is such a great investment that in the long run is going to save you so much money. Fuels, it's something that everyone is moving towards because that is the future. The future is renewable energy. The future is solar powered. Not only the bus stops, they actually use it to power the traffic lights as well. There's so much that can be done, And I think again, it's the future.
I congratulate you because this project seems to be very interesting and very important. I know that you don't have in this small time to develop or to go in some details of the project, as my colleague told you, but I am concerned about the sizes decided to have the sample cost. In one of the photographs that you show, there is a very small station, but then later you show other sizes. Which one is the one that you select as your $1,300 station? That's one question. The second question is this. You know, you were concerned with the safety, let's put it that way, of the items placed in the sample. Lamps, electrical devices, and so on and so forth. It all depends on where they are located, how many are they, in what kind of buses, if it's just in the very expensive tourist transportation sites. But I would like to see if you can develop some answers to my two questions. Thank you.
Well, for the original idea, the pilot study, which would take place for the bus tour, I think the smaller ones will be okay. You know, tourists just come and go. There's not a pile of people lining up for the bus. So smaller ones are, good. However, as we move on to the public transportation system, if we're going to set a bus stop on the P1, there's plenty of people there. There's over 30 people every morning waiting for the bus. So again, depending on the location, depending on the intersection, how many routes intersect there, we will be able to construct and give proper measures. The estimation that took place here was on the components. We left out the actual material, steel, concrete, because that's something that you can get for a lower cost in Cuba. You can get labor as well in Cuba, and you can actually make the Cuban people part of the whole project. That's what we were thinking.
Also, in presentation, we showed that all equipment in electrical side, the batteries, the controllers, and also the electrical and protection items gonna be inside the enclosures. And enclosure gonna be also grounded, and also we can use it in based on the size of the stations, and also the size of the bus stop, how many power we want to provide. We're going to secure all the the electrical equipment by following the standards, the electrical standard that every company needs to follow, that safety, a lot of standards they're going to follow for that.
Yes. Good morning, and again, congratulations on providing this. I had a question where you said that 2.5 million people generate $20 million of revenue. That's $8 per person. I think maybe you left some zeros out on that 20 million.
Well, we collected that data actually straight from the Cuban National Statistics Association. We ignore how they collected the data, whether it was just solely based on hospitality or whether it was simply based on restaurants that they specifically choose. So we are confident that that is a lot. It's underestimated, but that's the data that we were able to obtain.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, judges.